The press said she was after money. The judges said she was greedy. Nicole Smith married an 89-year-old billionaire, but she was more than just a Playboy model. She was from a small town and got out of poverty. She fought a 15-year legal fight all the way to the Supreme Court and died without getting any money. Lynn, her 18-year-old daughter, is finally letting everyone know who the real mom is, and the spooky signs that show Anna is still watching over her from elsewhere. Janet Ann Smith was born Vicki Lynn Hogan in Houston, Texas, on November 28, 1967. Her parents split up when she was less than 2 years old. Mexia is a small town in Texas with only about 6,000 people. Her mother, Virgie Mae Hogan, raised her there. Her dad wasn't around for most of her childhood, so it wasn't easy to grow up. She had a hard time at school, both with her work and with making friends. It was hard for her to keep up at Mexia High, where she started high school. She moved to a different school in the 9th grade, but she never made it past the 10th grade. As a kid she already had bigger dreams. She looked up to Marilyn Monroe and wanted to be famous like her. Things were going in a different way though. She quit school when she was only 14 years old, in 1982. In order to make money she got a job as a waitress at Jim's Crispy Fried Chicken in Mexia. She met 16-year-old fry cook Billy Wayne Smith through that job. He quickly became close to her, and on April 4, 1985, when she was 17, they got married. After a year, on January 22, 1986, she gave birth to their son, Daniel Wayne Smith. She wasn't able to get married the way she had hoped. Anna later said that Billy was bossy and envious. He didn't want her to hang out with other people or go on dates. She had enough by the middle of 1986. She broke up with Billy and went to Houston with their baby Daniel to start over. She worked at Walmart and Red Lobster for as little money as she could get, but it wasn't enough to support them. She had a hard time making ends meet because money was tight. She had no other choice but to start working as a dancer in strip clubs. It wasn't what she had planned, but she had to do it to make ends meet. When she was ready to try something new, she sent naked pictures of herself to Playboy magazine in 1992. Everything changed after that bet. Hugh Hefner and his team thought she was special. She was on the cover of Playboy in March 1992. She stood out because she looked a lot like Marilyn Monroe and was very pretty. In just 1 year, in 1993, she was named Playmate of the Year, making her one of the most famous models in Playboy history. Her life changed very quickly. She was having a hard time making ends meet not long ago, when she worked in fast food places and strip clubs. She was now being photographed for magazines and asked to high-class events. Fame gave her chances, but it also meant being in the news all the time, which she would have to deal with for the rest of her life. In November of that same year, Paul Marciano, she was offered a big modeling job by the co-founder of Guess Jeans. He saw in her the same star quality that had drawn people to Playboy. Her real name was still being used at the time, but Marciano suggested a change. They worked together to make Anna Nicole, a name that became famous all over the world very quickly. It was impossible to forget her first ad campaign for Guess. She became the brand's new face. She took over for beauty Claudia Schiffer, at a time when thin, waif-like models were all the rage. Anna Nicole's plump body and Hollywood glitz gave the business something new. Because they were based on the famous style of Jane Mansfield, the campaign's black and white pictures became instant classics. It got her more work with big names like H&M and Lane Bryant, which made her name even more well-known. When a model does well, she gets another chance. She can go to Hollywood. She got parts in 2 big movies in 1994. In the movies Naked Gun 33 and 1/3, The Final Insult, which starred Leslie Nielsen, she played Tanya Peters. Even though the movie did well, her acting got mixed reviews. At the Golden Raspberry Awards, she was even up for Worst New Star. In the same year, she had a small part in the Coen brothers movie, The Hudsucker Proxy. It got good reviews, but her part wasn't very important. Anna Nicole kept going, even though people were criticizing her. She did more than just act and model. She was turning into a name. She was a model for H&M in 1993, and was on huge signs all over Sweden and Norway. Her work with Lane Bryant went against traditional ideas of beauty, and showed that models with more curves could also work for big fashion brands. As her work went on, She was chosen to be the face of a diet supplement company called Trim Spa. The support caused a lot of trouble with the law, but it kept her in the public eye. She always found a way to stay important, no matter what people said about her. The rich man J. Howard Marshall DeSick and Anna Nicole Smith met at Gigi's, a Houston strip club, in October 1991. She had just turned 24, and was having a hard time making ends meet. She worked the day shift because she was still learning how to dance. Back then, she wasn't even close to being the blonde queen she would become. Marshall was 86 years old, and sad. Early that year, he lost both his wife and his long-term mistress. His driver told him to go out for the night to feel better, and that's where he saw her first. Her real name was Vicki Lynn Hogan, and she was born in Texas. Along with her son Daniel, she quit high school and did several jobs to make ends meet. She worked as a waitress at Red Lobster and Jim's Crispy Fried Chicken. She always wished her life was better. She danced to Krista Berg's The Lady in Red that night at Gigi's, and Marshall was so taken with her. He gave her $1,000 and told her not to go back to the club before she left. He got her a red Mercedes and lots of jewelry to cover her up. He paid her $4,000 a month for what he called coaching. She was named Playmate of the Year the next year. Even though her job was going through the roof at the time, Marshall was still set on marrying her. They finally got married at the White Dove Wedding Chapel in Houston on June 27, 1994. 66. There were only 11 people there. Anna was wearing a satin dress with a deep V-neck, and Marshall was in a wheelchair. She had her 8-year-old son carry the rings. She was married for the second time. She married Billy Wayne Smith when she was 17, but they were no longer together. After 30 years of marriage, his second wife died of Alzheimer's in 1991. The wedding was over very quickly. Anna left for a picture shoot. Before the night was over, Marshall was crying while he was in his wheelchair. That picture stayed in people's minds. It proved to them that this wasn't love. A lot of people thought she married him for money. Marshall had already given her a lot of money in gifts before the wedding. For her he bought homes, horses, pearls, and Rolls Royces. Some people thought she was after money. After the fact, a federal judge said that their connection was a mix of lust, need, and greed. Anna said it wasn't true. They talked to Larry King in 2002, and she said that Marshall gave her something more important than money, love and respect. She also said she had turned him down many times, before she finally said yes, because she wanted to achieve her own goals first. But there was something wrong. He is said to have told her he would give her half of his money, but he never wrote it down. His will didn't say anything about her. She was going to learn how wrong she was if she married him to be safe with money. It was only 14 months after they got married that Marshall died on August 4, 1995. He was 90 years old. After that, one of the longest and most heated court cases in history began. Smith thought she was going to get half of her late husband's money. He left her against his will, even though he was a billionaire, with a $1.6 billion share in the Coke Industries. His son E. Pierce Marshall denied that he had offered her a share if she got married. He said the will was final, and she had no right to anything. Someone else was fighting too, not just Smith. Another son, J. Howard Marshall III, was left out of the will because he tried to take over Coke Industries. He said that his father had promised him the same thing. He got nothing too. Like Smith. Smith had trouble with money in 1996 after she lost a sexual harassment case brought by her son's former nanny. The court told her to pay $850,000. She did not have the money, so she went to California and filed for bankruptcy. There was a bankruptcy court hearing because any money she might win from Marshall's estate was now